Let's talk pricing as well. How should projects be priced? And I guess, and is there a follow-up question? Is there a difference in pricing up a project the first time you do it versus using that as an experience to get that repeatability and play for future projects of the same type, similar type?
Yeah. So with that decision matrix that I was talking through before, part of those discussions and those conversations are around what type of project is it to start with. And so I'll go with this specific scenario that I work with a lot, was the 8 to 24 hour type projects. And what are we doing there? Are they repeatable? And generally, if it's 8 to 24 hours, you can probably get it done by your service desk or a couple of level twos, and you're not generally going to need too much project management. It's going to be more around coordinating timeframes and locking in vendors or third parties and all those types of things that need to happen. But the first time around, run it as an actual project. Do it properly so that the next time someone picks it up, you've got all the things that you need in place, or most of the things you need in place, and you've got really good lessons that you can learn from and use it and do it again. Doing it right the first time, even if you do take a loss on it, it's going to save you from taking continual losses continuing every other time it comes along. So it's better to sink another 10 or 20 hours into something the first time around, if it is repeatable and you think it's going to be repeatable, than it is to lose 10 hours every time you do it.
But that part there, so regardless of what your per hour rate is, how well do you see MSPs actually define the outcomes clearly enough that scope creep doesn't eat into those margins?
Yeah, talking about the pricing as well, how many MSPs have upped their rates with pricing in the last few years with the continual cost of
Wage
how much
inflation,
more
right?
expensive it is to wage inflation, a cost of living, all the other things that have come up as well. So that's a whole topic in itself. But when it comes to the scope, there's a few things that I like to look at. And one of them is, as a starting point, do we even understand what we're trying to do here? What is the outcome? So rather than us going purely onto the opportunity, we're not focusing on what the need is or what the problem is. And the need and the problem are generally going to be the things that drive us to that outcome. From there, we should be very clear on what's in scope. I prefer to be more clear on what's in scope than what's out of scope, because again, knowing what you're about, it's easier to say what you're not about. So it may be a case that these 4 parts of the project are very specific. So it's more practical to focus and be clear on what's in scope and have everyone clear on what that is. So that's between yourself and your clients and anyone else that's involved or coming along for the journey of the project. So many variables that we could go into that could be out of scope. And if you start getting too far into them, you're going to spend more time on that than you are on actually discovering and understanding what the outcome is. Extreme weather events are out of scope. You could take it to so many different levels, but if you're focusing on these are the outputs and this is what we're going to achieve, it's easy to then go back and say, we didn't say that this was something we were going to achieve. This wasn't something we said was going to be in scope. And you can have relatively open things for your scope. So issues caused by third parties are out of scope, or not providing access is out of scope, or having to follow up on certain tasks could be out of scope as well.